Welcome to our pod, and by that I mean on Wednesdays we read. I'm Hannah,
I'm Laura.
and we are usually two best friends who do a deep dive into a new book series, one book at a time. But today,
We're
it's a
three best friends.
because we are welcoming to the pod Nghi Vo to talk about her newest book in the Singing Hills series, A Mouthful of Dust. Welcome.
Thank you
Welcome,
so much for
Nate.
having me. You guys are my first interview. I'm so excited.
Oh, we are so excited to have you.
We're thrilled you're
Been
here.
I've been reading the Singing Hill series for like the past year slowly, and then
Oh,
Laura like binged them all, so you're getting the broad spectrum.
I've
So,
honestly, the past couple weeks, I've read, I think, almost all of your books that are out, and it's been the most enjoyable homework ever.
oh,
What a delight. And like, The City in Glass has probably become like my favorite book I've read this year.
ah,
So, absolutely love it.
I'm so glad to hear that. And the nice thing is they're all short. So if you're mad at me, you're only mad at me for a little while. So
well, I that's actually one of our first questions is the fact that like a lot of your books are novellas, which I think is pretty unique for an author to focus on novellas. So like what draws you to a novella? What makes you want to write them?
the fact that they're short. I came into this as a short story writer. So, anything more than about 2,000 words sometimes becomes a bit of a drag for me. So I'm like, what's the least amount of words that I can publish and then get away with? Like something that you might dig is the fact that Empress of Salt and Fortune, the first novella in the Sing Hills series, that I think is just barely up to 20,000. Like they contacted me during printing and they asked, "Is there something you can add to this?" I'm like, "Why?" And Roshi, my editor at the time, said, "We think it might be too short to bind." And I'm like, "Oh dear, okay." So I mean, besides fun incidents like that, it's really fun to just get a grip on a story and then spit it back out, which is more graphic than I suppose it should be. But you've there, you've gotten the action, you're done, you get to go home and get have a nap. I love naps.
Don't we
I
all? I mean,
Yeah, I think that's beautiful because I think it's just such a specific art form. Because I feel like with authors, there are so many people who are like, I need 180,000 words or I need this many words. And you're like, nope, 20,000 is perfect.
No,
So,
that sounds like 100,000, 100K, 120K. That sounds like so much work. Like I just finished up, like we're in edits for my next novel, and I don't know if I can. Oh, I do get to talk about it. So if you guys want me to talk about it, I can.
we
That
definitely
one's gonna
want
be
you
like
to.
110K, and I'm like, this is so much like work. I don't want to do this anymore. And then my agent was like, "Do you want to get paid?" I'm like, "I do want to get paid."
I do have to work and live in this capitalist society, unfortunately.
So go write that 110K book. I'm like, all right.
Me, I promise I will get into like book questions,
Of
but
course.
I read in one of your online interviews that as a true Wisconsinite, you love giving cheeses to your loved ones. So I was just wondering like what cheeses are your favorites or what ones would you recommend?
There is one that is called a Gran Canaria, which is a combination sheep and goat's milk cheese, I believe. That's fantastic. You can't do better than a Stilton with blueberry if someone doesn't mind the sweet savory combination. And there is Bella Vitano, which is, I don't think they're a local cheese blend, a cheese dairy, but they're quite good. And they have an espresso that's pretty good for people who like kind of bitter flavors, and also a balsamic vinaigrette tempered cheese, which is quite good. So how
Love
about
that.
that? I
Love
have
Well,
that.
I have so
you
many
won
cheese opinions.
you won Laura over because goat cheese, she is a hobby farmer and she raises
I raise
goats.
dairy
So
Oh,
goats,
that's
so I make goat cheese.
fantastic.
So yeah,
Yeah, no, I came up with this thing when I was really tired a few years back, which is where you mix goat cheese with some honey and some pomegranate seeds, and it's like the best
sounds amazing.
midwinter thing ever. It's like you just eat it with some crackers. It's great.
I've been
Yum.
doing
That
goat
sounds so
cheese
good.
with heirloom tomatoes on an English muffin
Mm.
recently. So good.
Yeah, I missed green tomato season this summer, so I was like, darn it, I want something to fry.
Well, getting back into
Mm.
the Singing Hills cycle is often like telling readers about like different aspects of the power of storytelling. So many of the novellas are written in this like layered way that are sharing a story within a story. What was it like, or what is it like as an author creating this layered storytelling?
Kind of like falling through a hole and realizing there's more hole to come as you fall through it. The Singing Hills was not meant to be a series. I wrote The Empress of Salt and Fortune, and I thought it was pretty cool. I didn't know what was going to come next, and my editor, Roshi, says, "Hey, could this be a series?" And the thing you have to understand is that I come from a freelance background. You don't say yes when you're like 100% sure you can do a job. You say yes at like 80%. If you're broke, you say yes at 75, 50%. And I'm like, yes, yes, this can absolutely be a series. And in the back
I'm
of my
gonna get
head,
paid, of course.
right,
Yeah.
right. Keep paying me. And that was about 70%. I was about 70% sure I could do it. So, and I came to the idea that I'm like, yes, it will be a series. And each of these books will be about different ways we tell stories. And I'm like, that sounds pretty good. And then I kind of just kept the theme going. And well, I'm a lifelong storyteller. I've been telling lies since I was a child. It's all good. So what it comes down to is there's so many ways to tell a story. I'm not gonna be done until someone tells me I'm done with the Singing Hills series. So it's so
I
many
love to hear
layers
that.
down, and it's so much planning, and also just a lot of serendipity, actually. I find connections that I didn't realize I set up for myself books several books ago. I find things that I really should have written down around 3 books later. It's in a word, it's been a lot of fun.
That's
Well,
a,
I'd love
well,
to hear that you're going to keep going as long as possible because that was exactly what I wanted to hear. 'Cause these are just really great. I love the episodic feel to these and everything. They're great novellas.
I wanted them as sort of like a gift to readers because I mean I love big series. I've always adored like the big door stoppers. I grew up in the 80s and 90s, so a book should be about, a good 2, 3 inches thick, right? But I wanted something where people could just look at the cover, the gorgeous, gorgeous Alyssa Winans covers, and say, I want that one. Just I'm like, pick it up, give it a shot. If you like it, great. If not, feel free to try again if you're so inclined. And
which I think
Mhm.
that's how I got into the series actually, as I picked up Into the Riverlands and I didn't realize it was the third and I was like, "Oh, do I have to read the?" And I ended up reading them in order, but I was like, "No, you really don't need to because you can pick up different things along the way."
No, it's just supposed to be like a if I have a goal for the Seeing Hills stories besides, make enough money and have like a private jet or something, my goal is probably I want to give people a good night. I want them to just have just a good few hours, pick up a book, and then you can put it down and not worry about, am I going to die before I finish it? Or if they're gonna have cash for the next edition or where they'll be for the next edition. I'm like, I just want you to have a good night. That's it.
I love that goal.
Well, and throughout the Singing Hills series, we get dropped in, like we said, it's episodic with Claire Chi as they wander, gathering stories and history, really, at the like bottom line of it all. So Chi has such a respect for history. What made you focus on a cleric and a search for like knowledge and history?
Well, as I said before, The Empress of Salt and Fortune was meant to be a standalone. And it came about because I kind of wanted to tell a story that was entirely told through museum labels, like the little tiny little rectangles at the bottom of museum exhibits that never tell you enough. And how far could I get telling a story like that? And then I needed someone to tell the story too. And so I'm like, how about a non-binary cleric with a bird that can remember everything? And their name is Chi, and they love stories and they love pork. And I'm like, well, let's go from there. And I need to say, I love Chi like I have loved so few of my characters. I mean, I care for all my characters, but you don't love a character like Jordan from The Chosen and the Beautiful. It's hard to love Jordan and Lily from like Siren Queen,
Mhm.
but it's really easy to love Chi. Chi is trying hard every day, and they are kind. And I have no idea how I wrote them. All my characters are usually much meaner. I'm like, who the hell are you, little round cleric?
It's so interesting too that you mentioned that because after having recently read The Chosen and Beautiful, it's very much like such a contrast in the way that friendship is talked about because we
Hmm.
have Clerkshe and Almost Brilliant, and they're the characters that you follow mostly throughout the Singing Hills cycle, and their
Hmm.
friendship is so pure and unique, and they miss each other, and they really are just like the perfect companions on this story to gain knowledge. And I just love that we like learn about the importance of the nation and everything. And I was kind of wondering, like, why was it that you chose a Hupu? Is it Hupu? Is that how you say this?
I believe it's Hoopo, yeah.
Hupo.
Okay, so the best part about having chosen a Hoopo is that a lot of people were not aware they were real birds. Like I keep running into people who's like, they're like these beautiful birds that you've imagined. I'm like, no, they're all over Africa and Asia. They're everywhere, please.
They're in
But
the Asian expansion of Wingspan.
everywhere. But there's okay. So when I was in college, I think I was a junior or senior in college, there was this amazing bookstore called Green Street Books in Champaign-Urbana. And it was one of
We
those
both went
places.
to U of I, so
Oh, hey, there we go. Awesome. Do you know
ILL.
what I'm talking about? This
yeah.
would be back
Mhm.
in
Oh yeah.
2000, 2004.
Hmm.
So Green Street
Hmm.
Books.
Yep.
So you guys know how that place was always like a bit of a labyrinth. You just went in deeper and deeper,
Hmm.
and somehow you could end up in like a coffee shop, maybe. But I found this book there. It was called A Conference of Birds. I believe the author is Farouk Dunatar, and it is this collection of stories, and it's framed by all of these birds deciding that they are going to meet with the legendary Simurgh. And it's a long, difficult journey seeking enlightenment in the form of this legendary bird. And the hoopoe is the one who tells stories to encourage them as they want to go along. Like when the peacock wants to go home because everything is hard, or when the eagle wants to go home because there's nothing to eat, the hoopoe steps in and says, okay, there's a story and this will make you feel better. And we'll keep going until we find the Simurgh. And it's a beautiful, beautiful book. I love it very much. And that stuck with me when I looked up what a hoopoe was, and then I saw it's kind of like a dorky, cute little bird, and I'm like, yes, yes. I do not get any raptors. I do not get any gorgeous, gorgeous seabirds. I get that one, and that
Oh,
just
the
seemed like
beautiful like plumes. Yeah.
yes,
Hmm.
and the orange and black and the stripes,
Hmm.
and I just once I imagined a hoopoe sitting on Chee's shoulder, I was like, no, it's got to be a hoopoe. That's fine. It hasn't come up yet, but there are um, there are other birds that service nation in the Sister Abiat Sioux, and they're actually birds with very long morning veil tails. So I mean, that's still to come, but
Well, I'll be
I
looking out for that because I love birds.
Yeah, and I love
yeah.
the Nation so much. I like Mammoths at
Hmm.
the Gate is one of my favorites of the
Oh,
series, and I think
Hmm.
it added so many layers seeing the Nation and seeing like different relationships within that. It's so cute to see, like you said, with this being a series, you get to look deeper and deeper as time goes on, and I thought that that was such a beautiful little nugget that we got to see the
I
actual Singing Hills. So
yeah, I wanted them to be people. They don't look like us, but at the end of the day, they're people. And sometimes I think it's good practice for us to look at people who don't look at like us and say, that's a person.
yeah,
It's practice.
I love
which
that.
was like paramount in Mammoth at the Gates, where they get to be people and they get to like grieve. It was beautiful.
Hmm.
Yeah.
So within all of these novellas, you are amazing at starting the story and then flipping it and turning on its head. I think back personally to how shocked I was when I finished The Brides of High Hill because I was not expecting that ending. I was like, oh, this is what this novella will be. And then at the end, I was like, this is not what that novella was. So can you tell us about the process of building these stories with, the flavors of mystery that come out at the end of all of your novellas?
I think the funny part is that I have never thought I was a surprise as a writer. I always think that people can see me coming a mile away. So it's great when people have the experience of being surprised, and it's a pleasure. But when it comes to writing a twist like the one in Brides of High Hill, even the one in Empress of Salt and Fortune, even the kind of much smaller, quieter one in Into the Riverlands, the important thing for me is that I play fair with my audience. At the end of the book, they shouldn't feel cheated. They shouldn't feel that I tricked them. What they should hopefully feel, my goal is they get to the end and they're like, "Oh my God, that was so cool." That's the feeling I want them to have. I I really don't like the idea of putting one over on readers. All the readers that I've met, I'm a reader, we're fucking smart, I don't like to, so it's never a trick. I never think I'm smart enough to fool a reader, but I can say, hey, you know what's fucked up? And if they come along with me for a while, I think that that's where the pleasure is. But a lot of it comes from just realizing there's a lot of things in the world that want to eat you a little bit, and don't be surprised when it does. But definitely be surprised when it doesn't. Sometimes it doesn't, and that's fun too.
Well, in Into the Riverlands and also in A Mouthful of Dust, you mentioned like the power of observation, and Mammoths at the Gate leans into like themes of homecomings and grief and the stories that people tell about us. So, as the author of the Singing Hills cycle, what have you observed about these novellas that you've created, and what stories do you think that people will or are telling about them?
Um, for a lot of reasons, I think that it's very important to listen to the stories that people around us are telling. we're all from the Midwest, it sounds like. So I know that's you guys know as well as I do some of the best stories with no shit, there I was, right? Or oh my God, did you hear what he said at church? Oh, I couldn't fucking believe it. You guys know what I'm talking
Oh
about.
yeah.
So, and the thing is, we are all telling stories. I've heard the idea that, we should be called a Homo narrans, the storytelling ape. It's what we do. We do it to children. We do it to children very quickly, even if the story is, hey, that's hot, baby. Don't touch that. And as we get older, we realize that the stories we tell are meant to instruct us, but sometimes they're also meant to hurt us or to make us small or to tell us that it's okay for us to hurt other people. Um, there is there is something in every story. When we tell stories, we almost never tell a story by accident. We might be accidentally imbuing it with meaning. We might be giving it a meaning we didn't intend, but there is a point to every story. And the sooner I feel that people start asking, what story am I being told here? Why am I being told it? Who is it telling me to hurt? Is it telling me to hurt myself? Is it making me smaller? As soon as we start figuring out which are the stories that are meant to make us small or feel bad about ourselves or bad about someone else, the better off we are going to be. And if there is a thrust to Sing Hills besides paying my rent and just having a very good time with anthropology and archaeology and biology, that's it. If the stories do anything, I want them to make people look at what is the story I'm being told and is it serving me? Is it making me happy?
You have wonderful answers.
I know. You said a little bit ago, you're like, all readers are smart, and I'm sitting here like, like,
You know
Uh,
more about goats than I could forget, so I'm sure you're fine.
she is amazing about goats.
That is so
what a
cool.
niche interest.
But a fascinating interest. Um,
Very cool.
well, turning us like a little bit more towards A Mouthful of Dust.
Sure.
So, this is a book about famine, descending on a village or the history of famine. But I loved so much in this book that there is a discussion about food juxtaposed with the realities of famine and the stark reality of people who are going hungry. So, what made you decide with this book to focus on both food and hunger in comparison to one another?
Well, I mean, first of all, I mean, I'm certainly an eater. I like cooking, I like eating, I like giving food to my friends and people I care about. We trade recipes, we talk about the things we've eaten and the things we're going to eat. It's a very good time. And food is language. And what happens when you take that language away from people? And food is a token of goodwill. It is a symbol of health and happiness and prosperity and sometimes just being okay. Because I mean, we talk about meals, right? P Humans, we talk about meals like everyone in the world has a version of student food where you're not really poor, but man, you really can't afford like the good stuff. So we've got peanut butter sandwiches. We've got
Jack,
an egg
Jack's
cracked on
Pizzas.
rice. Yes, we have Jack's pizzas. When I was a kid, it was Totino's party pizza, and I
Oh
still
yeah.
remember there's so much caraway in those. I'm like, I still love caraway, but it's memory. Food is also memory. It's like we remember you put something in your mouth and you're like, oh, I remember the last time I was here. I'm not going to eat any more Jack's pizza, for example. I don't have to do that right now. And what it comes down to for me is there's story in food, and there's a story that happens when food goes away. One of the things that my parents told me when I was a kid is you don't really know someone until they're hungry. And I don't want that to be true. I want us to be better than that, and we're not. I don't think we are. We are emotions attached to a belly, and somewhere behind that is maybe a heart, but belly first for most of us. And I think what it comes down to with that is who are you when you're hungry? It's that wonderful, you wouldn't like me when I'm hungry. And I'm like, no, no, and hangry and all the emotions that go with it. And then you throw in what happens when that goes longer and becomes life-threatening and difficult and hard. And who are you then? And part of it is I don't know what I'm trying to do except for the fact that I really wanted to write about some recipes. I thought that was a really fun idea. How about
Well,
that?
and it goes back to what you said earlier about you left breadcrumbs along the way because so many of the previous books were about food in certain ways, about coming together and meeting. And so this book was so beautiful and like well-rounded because we're coming back to a conversation we've been having with Chi the entire time.
Actually, I'm gonna have to actually say I get no credit for that. So, this was actually written second. If anything, this one seeded some of the ones coming forward. So I wrote Empress of Salt and Fortune, and they're like, "Nee, why don't you go off and write another one, see what happens?" And I'm like, "Okay." So about 5 months later, I came back with this book, which I don't even remember what it's called, but The Mouthful of Dust. And I'm like, "Hey guys, I wrote another Seeing Hills book. What do you think?" And I have to imagine there was a very hurried conversation between my editor and my agent at the time. And okay, this is going to be a little bit of a spoiler, so I don't know if you want to bleep this to come,
Skip a
but
minute, guys.
we'll skip him if you gotta. But my agent Diana comes back and she says to me very gently, because this is early in our relationship, she says, "Nee, do you think everyone is ready to read about baby eating this year? Because this was like late 2020."
Oh no. Yeah, that's a rough time.
Right, right. And she's like, "Why don't we?" And the problem was they'd already signed a contract with me.
Oh
So
no.
they're like, "Why don't you put this away and write another one?" And I'm like, "Okay," because I'm this is my job. I can write till the cows come home. And so then I ended up writing When the Tiger Came Down the Mountain, and they're like, "Good, good."
Interesting though on the timing.
A,
Yeah.
a, a little bit. A
I mean,
little
Yeah.
baby
bit.
eating was reserved for 2025, so
Well, no, the best part was because we were talking about what was going to come out, and I'm like, well, I mean, I'm pretty laid back. I'm like, so what are we in the mood for? What are we feeling like, folks? And I think Diana said, "I don't think anyone cares about baby eating anymore." And I'm like, okay. I'm like, Diana, are you all right?
Oh.
we are in a post Yellow Jackets world. So
Yeah, I mean, I feel like cannibalism and vor are having their moments. I mean, we had Hannibal, we have love as consumption, and there's the whole idea that eating well is one of the last luxuries people can really attain, because we certainly
Mhm.
ain't buying houses.
Yeah.
Oh, how bleak.
It's okay. It's okay. I've got some good recipes. We're gonna be fine. We're not, but it's fine.
So we already mentioned, mild spoiler, that in A Mouthful of Dust, a famine demon comes to the city of Balin, and beyond food and flesh, readers learn that this demon can also be sated with dreams or lies. And I was just kind of wondering, when you're writing your books, what is it about them that makes you feel full and like they're ready to be put out into the world?
My deadline is here. My deadline is here. I have made word counts. Okay, there's a better answer to that, I promise. But one of the things is specifically one of the ways I write. And mostly I've learned that I've never learned to write a book or a novella. I've just learned to write like this one. And what it usually ends up being is I know where I'm stopping. I know I know what the money shot is. I know what the final scene is going to be. I more or less knew what there's a confrontation scene in a whispering room at the end of The Mouthful of Dust. I knew we were going to get there. There's a bit about dirt cookies that I knew that we were going to
Mhm.
get into in Mouthful of Dust. I needed to hit that. Um, it's it's over when I'm tired. It's over when we've come into a place where people have changed. Maybe that's a good one. It's sort of like when you write a fight scene or a sex scene. If it doesn't change anything, it maybe doesn't need to be in the novel. How about
Mhm.
that?
I like that. And you're dealing with such a short format too that you don't have tons of room to move around.
Oh, actually, I usually have more room because have you noticed how short Seeing Hills is? They're like 20K done. I tech For novella,
It's
I
like 100
technically
pages.
I have another 40K and it's still a novella. So,
Wow.
yeah, yeah. It's
W-
like have you guys ever had Shauna McGuire on here for Wayward Children?
No, but we'd love to.
Yes, we would.
You should ask. She's fantastic. Um, but her Wayward Children series, which is another ongoing novella series,
Mhm.
I think she tops out. I think she hits 40K pretty fast. So, it's like we're at two ends of the spectrum, agented by the same mad woman.
But beautiful books because I love both of them. So
Aren't they? Yeah, no, Wayward Children is fantastic.
Wayward Children is really good. So
Hmm.
yeah, I've been doing a lot of audiobooks this year, and both of you guys are top of my list.
Oh, so you've heard Cindy Kay. She's fantastic. She is the audiobook narrator for The Singing Hills, and she's so good.
Okay, I was gonna ask how you found her because she is an amazing narrator, and
Isn't she great?
I like your books are amazing, and I want to re-listen to them all the time. But her voice, I could probably listen to them on repeat and just learn something new every time just from the way she talks.
She was one of, I think, two or three people that she was my first choice immediately. But I believe Tantor just sent me like, it's like, here, these people are interested. I'm like, oh my God, people are interested in reading my book. And one of the reasons why I think she got the pick and has continued to earn it, not that she has to earn anything as far as I'm concerned, um, she was the one that made me look at my own words in a new way. Like she can do that. She's really good. I've all of the audiobook narrators I've gotten for my books have just been phenomenal. So I feel very, very, very lucky. But I feel like that's what a good audiobook narrator does. They all do it, which is I'm like, did I really write that? Did I mean that? I hope I did because that was awesome.
Was very interesting going like it was beautiful because I got to experience A Mouthful of Dust via reading because that was how we received the arc. But there was a moment where I'm like, I'm gonna have to go back and re-listen because Cindy is so important to me by at this point.
You're gonna love it. She's I believe she just got the pronunciation guide, so that ought to be fairly soon.
Perfect.
I also want to mention too, because you mentioned previously that Alyssa Winans is the artist for your books for all the cover art and everything, and they're gorgeous books.
Hmm.
I think even if you're listening to the audiobook, you want to probably just like leave your phone open so you can stare at that beautiful cover image. But I was just kind of wondering if you were involved in any art direction or if there's a particular cover or image that she's created that sticks out to you.
Oh, I love all of her books. I still remember the first time I saw the cover for The Empress of Salt and Fortune. I think I just sat and was quiet for a little bit because, I mean, first it's the reality of my first traditionally published book, and second it was just I'm like, oh, that's what Alyssa Winans gives you. She gives you the moment where she's like, oh, Alyssa gets it. I don't know if you guys heard, but she just won her first Hugo, and I'm just
Oh,
so
awesome.
pleased.
Thanks.
She took Best Artist. I'm like, yes, yes, because she's been up for like I think she's been up for it since like 2000 to 2020, and I'm like, yes, I was so pleased.
That's
Um,
amazing.
and if you want to ask if I had anything to do with these covers, no, no, I don't. Like they're like, so what do you like to see on covers? I'm like, can you put like a fox on it? Can you put? I'm like, how angry can you make the teapot, Alyssa? And at some point, I mean, I barely get a chance to talk to Alyssa at all because I feel like that's probably safe. You just keep the writers away from the artists, and that just seems like saner for all of us. Because, then I'm like, can you illustrate hope, Alyssa? And I'm like, no, stop asking her to do things like that. But no, I put down a few things about what I feel the book is about, some of the fun iconography in it. I'm like, sometimes it's like, hey, can you make the pig look really mean? And she can, of course, but
She can.
no,
As I stare over Laura's shoulder and I'm like, that's a mean pig. So
right,
It's
right,
such a
and
beautiful pig.
I love the pigs. Do you know that one was almost called Ugly Woman Stories? And I'm like, okay, you think that would be a cool title too, right?
yeah,
I
I mean,
mean,
I would
just hearing the title of 5 stars.
here's
Um,
the thing. I picked up Into the Winter Riverlands as my first book, and I probably would have picked up Ugly Woman Stories as well and
mhm.
been like, yeah, you sold me, honestly.
No,
So
they told me that if they were afraid that people would think it was an anthology. I'm like, okay, maybe legit. But I think that if someone picked up Ugly Women's Stories, if they saw that in a bookshelf, I think they'd pick it up.
Yeah,
It's
I think
yeah,
so.
it's something next to like the best title that I've ever heard, which made me and my friend like stop in a bookstore and like back up. And that title was No Touch Monkey and Other Lessons Learned Too Late.
that's beautiful.
And I'm like, I still don't remember what it was about, but we're both like, huh.
I don't know.
I
You have some pretty good titles though, because you just had a novella come out that's like the sequel or in the same time frame as The Chosen and the Beautiful, and it's Don't
Hmm.
Sleep with the Dead. And I think that's a really great title too.
I got that one for free. I dreamed it,
oh,
actually. I
Amazing.
I woke up in the morning and I'm like, huh, don't sleep with the dead. What good advice. I'm like, who needs that advice and will not take it? And it was Nick Carraway from The Chosen, the Beautiful. And I happened to have an agent call with Diana that afternoon. And I'm like, hey, how do you feel about a novella called Don't Sleep with the Dead? And she's like, okay, what's it about? And I just sort of spit out what's it about. And she's like, yeah, go write that. And I'm like, okay.
perfect.
Done.
Yeah. No, that
I
one worked out pretty well.
You have great titles and you have great taglines because I constantly think about the City of Glass where you're like, it's where if a woman fucked a library. And I'm like, great, I'm sold, honestly.
Please, was that the first you heard about that book? Was that the first thing you heard
That
about?
we saw you at an author event last year in
Oh
Milwaukee,
man.
and you said that at a panel,
No, that
Yeah.
and
sounds right. Yeah, that sounds
and
yeah.
we were both like, oh, and that is like shocking to me because now having read the book, I'm like, this is such a like haunting and beautiful and sad book. And the way that you like just have you ever thought about just like wanting to fuck a library? And it's like, what?
Okay, the problem is that's how I sold it to like my agent and how and then she
So
said,
amazing.
okay, I want you to tell that to your editor, like just like that. And I'm like, just because you want her to see what you deal with every day, is that the problem? No,
Incredible
but I mean,
pitches, apparently.
Yeah.
I can't, how do I sell a no, how do I sell a novel as, well, it's beautiful and haunting and me, do you know how that sounds when I say it? I have to go with my strengths.
They're beautiful strengths because we're huge fans.
I'm so glad to hear that. I'm so glad you're digging them.
Well, I just wanted to ask a couple more questions
Of
about A
course.
Mouthful of Dust. So I felt like shame and the scars that stories can have like or can put on us was like a really big part of A Mouthful of Dust. And it's even mentioned at one point that shameful stories should just be forgotten rather than passed down. And I thought that that was really impactful. But you contrast that with this really beautiful theme of like hope and the importance of passing down stories and traditions. And Claire Chi and Almost Brilliant, they're protecting stories with their work. So why was it important for you to show that there are these really difficult moments in storytelling and that it's not all just as simple as like, hey, come sit around the fire here and let me tell you about my childhood?
Because I don't think there's any such thing as an uncomplicated story. I mean, there's, a story like I went to a place, I saw a thing, I killed a man, and then I came home. There's no story more simple than that. And who is telling the story? Who was killed? Who survived? How were they killed? Why were they killed? And you have the bones of that story at some point, and then you get layers onto, you get muscle, you get fat, you get skin. And then what happens when you take it apart and eat it? Or what happens when you remove the bones? Or when you decide you only want to eat fried skin, you know? Um, I think that there is a complicated nature to stories that we never really appreciate until we really start taking them apart. Like queer people, marginalized people in general, we learn this one pretty fast because we're told stories and we don't realize until we're much older that was poison. Someone tried to feed us poison when we were 10, 15, 20, and we don't realize to what extent it's become a part of us, damaged us, uh, to what extent we continue to spit it out unthinking. And I think that there's this wonderful thing about Singing Hills. And we've only really met Chi through Singing Hills. We've met Rue as well. We've met some of the lay sisters. We've met some of the people who will have to deal with these people. But I don't think we've met the kind of the darker face of Singing Hills yet, which says, go ahead and tell us whatever story you want because we have forever and we're going to be waiting and we're going to be watching and it's all going to come out. So we'll get it sooner or later. And there's something very calm about the very core of Singing Hills for that, which is stories are allowed to be complicated because they have the time to process them. And they have the time to see the truth, whatever the truth is, come out or see what happens to a story in 50 years. Which is, it's not something that we like to think about with Chi because Chi is very sweet and we love them.
Mhm.
But that is part of the fun of seeing Hills. It's like, go ahead, we'll wait.
Well, we do
Have
get
you ever
certain.
read the
Oh,
Forever Desert series by Moses Oze Otomi?
Yes! Oh my God, yes. He is so good, isn't
Those
he?
are like my favorite books. I keep Moses' book here
I
like
was just
all
I
the
was just
time
noticing
when we're
that. Yes.
recording.
we've had
But
Moses on, and he actually came back and talked some manga with us on a TV Tuesday. But
Oh,
yeah, he
wonderful.
came
No,
back
he's
to talk about
fantastic.
Jujutsu Kaisen with us on the anime, and it was so fun. But like, as you're talking about these things, and like as I was reading The Singing Hills, I was like so reminded of the Forever Desert books, and I was just like, oh my gosh, there's other people that get it. They're doing it right. And
Oh man, I actually got to meet Moses. We paneled together. I think it was in San Diego, or someplace on the West Coast, and he was so cool. And the first thing I said to him when I met him is like, I'm like, okay, you got to tell me, was there any other way that first book could have ended? And he just smiled at me and said, no. I'm like, okay, fine. That was hard.
it's
I love
really
those
rude.
books so much.
They're
Like,
I
so
know.
good.
And I
such
want like
gut
so many
punches too.
decades of more work in between each one of them because they just skip too much time. I want to see everything. So,
They're so
That
circular though,
is
and I love that they're all like tied into each other and everything. And like your books, you can kind of read them out of order too, and it doesn't really affect the storytelling. But I just really, when you were talking about that and the importance of the storytelling and everything, and I was and how things can, change based on perspective and all this. I'm like, oh my gosh, I wonder if she's read these.
No, I would not go without reading those. He's real good.
Well, and I
I'm
think
sure
that's
listeners
why.
are like, please stop talking about Moses, Laura,
No, I don't
please.
want to.
uh,
I mention him every episode, probably.
No, well, that I think talking about Singing Hills, that is what I loved about Mammoth at the Gates, to bring it back to that novella for a second, because you did get to see different flavors of clerics, because really we've only mostly seen Chi throughout
Hmm.
the novellas and seen what they think and how they feel about things. And they are kind of a lovable, happy-go-lucky person who gets put into these situations and then pulled out. But you did get to see almost a darker side being hinted at where people have different viewpoints than them, or they point out that, like, hey, you've been out there and you've stopped eating vegetarian. And like,
I love that mention.
it's something I think about constantly. My husband's vegan. So
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah.
uh, I was going to say this is a huge spoiler, so I'm going to vamp to give some listeners time to jump a minute, because I do have to talk about the ending of this book with you. It's just
Of
kind of
course.
mandated.
Hmm.
um, but what made you focus on, the big surprise being a mother suffering loss and then wanting vengeance and taking it at the end of this book?
I don't know if I quite got this when I was a bit younger, but my sister had some kids, which there's a nicer way for me to say that she had some kids, I guess. My sister had some kids, and I look at them and I think that it must be the worst thing in the world to imagine a child hungry. It's terrible. So what are we going to do about it? Come back from the dead and rip someone to shreds. That's I think about the things that could get someone out of a grave, and actually, I don't think it's many. I don't think there's many things that could make someone say, "To hell with this rest that I was given. To hell with this fate. I'm going back. And what am I going to do here? I'm so angry. I'm going to rip someone apart." So that is, I mean, it's desire. I mean, a part of this book is about desire, and it's the desire for good food. It's also the desire for what good food stands for. And like I said, safety, love, home, and when that's taken away from you, how angry do you get? How angry should we all get for it? So that's part of it, and um, just just the fun of watching someone get torn apart. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I'm not above that. My books are kind of dark and kind of gory, and like if I can tear someone's head off, I will. I did an Empress of Salt and Fortune, and no one seems to remember that.
I feel like this one felt more haunting to me.
Mhm.
A Mouthful of Dust felt more haunting to me. So you do kind of forget, even within a short period of time, you kind of forget, like, oh no, this is not our first dive into the depths here. Like, things have been pretty dark before.
No, it's and the worst part is sometimes I don't even notice. I write these books and I write them kind of fast because I'm always on deadline. I always got quota to meet, and I finish them and I'm like, hey, what do you guys think? And they're like, nee, this made me cry. And I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? And then I go back and read it like months later. I'm like, oh, did you guys know that this one was sad? Was someone gonna tell me that this is sad? And they're like, what the fuck is going on over there? And I'm like, I don't know. I'm hungry. Give me something to eat.
Those are my favorite type of stories, though, where you look back and you're like, that was really messed
That
up. Like,
hurt. That
yeah.
hurt.
Well, my last question
Mm.
is so in A Mouthful of Dust, it's mentioned that you should appreciate the first bite and the last one. So I started off with a food related question with the cheese, and I kind of wanted to just end with a food related question. So we talked about how like food and the community and culture surrounding it is really important. And you mentioned that when people are eating, they'll be talking. And I was thinking about that, like how even at like my family get-togethers, like everybody just migrates to the kitchen. Like everyone's in the kitchen, you're all snacking, like and I think about like even my friends and I, like we share recipes with each other and stuff. We'll just like send each other a recipe. We don't even have to like say much. We're just like, tried this, it was great, and you should do it. And I was just kind of wondering if you could tell us like a little bit more about like how food and storytelling are tied in your life, and then maybe share like a favorite recipe with us or something
Uh,
that you like to make for people.
let me see. Okay. When it comes to food and stories about memory, one of my first, I have these. So I don't exactly share a language with my parents. So throughout my life, we have always had to meet on this interesting bridge between what their English allows and what my understanding of their world permits. Like for a long time, I thought that lemons were green because my mom called we used limes exclusively in my house, and she's called them lemons because that's what, citrus food, it's an easy misunderstanding.
Hmm.
And all the times when I've realized that a dish my mom made me, she's like, "Oh," and I love it. It's like a fried catfish dish. And she's like, "Oh, it's good, but this is the wrong fish." I'm like, "What are you talking about? This is the one I grew up with. This is the right fish for this recipe." She's like, "No, it's not." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So, food is delicious, food is wonderful, and sometimes it is no more precise than saying a word that has like about eight meanings. There's that. Let's see. Good recipes. Okay, one of the more recent ones is I got an air fryer. I found it for 15 bucks at a brand new at a yard sale. I'm a Midwesterner. I have to tell you what a good deal I got on it, clearly. I got it for 15
Yes.
bucks, brand new, and it's been a bit of a game changer in the kitchen. I'm like, wow, really? So I've just been making like really fast quesadillas in it,
Mhm.
and I've been putting tofu into it, and I've been doing this thing where I put like a bunch of bean mix on top of a taco, and then I layer it with some cheese, and I throw it in the air fryer and let it get crispy, and then I put
Oh,
a fried egg on top of it, and that's great. Oh, that's a good tip.
yum.
If you put a fried egg on it onto a savory dish, you're doing really well. That's a good sign. You're having a good day.
That's amazing. You have to try hash browns in the air fryer because it is life-changing because you just chop up a bunch of vegetables and shake it as it goes along,
Right?
and
Right?
they're perfectly crispy. So
Perfect.
I do a ton of just like baked potatoes and air
No,
fryer.
it's
I'm just
it's
like
it's a
it's so
like
it's so much simpler.
it,
yeah.
it changed my life in a way that the Instapot didn't. I got rid of the Instapot pretty
Mm.
fast, but
Mm,
this one I'm keeping.
yeah. I haven't used the
Miniature
Instapot as
ovens
much.
all the way.
Um,
Mm, mm.
miniature ovens. Yeah, we're just easy bake ovening over here. So. Well, and as a bit of a left turn and a cop out at the end of this a little bit as interviewers, but we both have seen you talk on multiple panels and loved every second of them.
Oh.
Uh, what questions do you love talking, like answering about your books?
My standard answer for what question you wish was asked you is, "Nee, do you want all the sushi you can eat?" And I'm like, no one asks me that. That's fine. Actually, I don't worry too much because my audience always comes up with the best questions to ask me. If you ever see me get this kind of look where it goes, "Huh," that means I didn't see that one coming and I have to think really fast. But mostly when it comes to just questions, I want to ask you guys like, how are you guys doing? Is everything you guys all good? You having a good time out there?
We are. You have great answers,
I'd
as we've
love
already
to.
said.
You're more concerned with like how we're doing, and you know what? Sometimes I feel like after we've read some of these really haunting things, probably not great. I mean, I'm just kidding with you.
No, it's fine. It's go get yourself a good dose of like some tea Kingfisher. It'll be fine. Well, it'll be as fine as tea Kingfisher allows things to be.
That's amazing.
Mhm.
So, final question.
Mm.
Well, second to last question. What projects do you have coming up, and where can our readers find you and your works? I just saw the other day that book number 7 in the Singing Hills cycle, Along and Speaking Silence, is coming out next year. So we'll be
Mhm.
looking forward to that one. But what
Yep.
other works are coming?
So there's a Long and Speaking Silence. I am in the process of final edits for a book, and I can finally speak about this. It's called The Scarlet Ball, and it is what happens. It's set in the Gilded Age, in a time when rich people have all the money and they don't care that the rest of us are starving. Not like any time we know, of
I mean,
course.
that's the Gilded Age are now.
Yeah, yeah. So it's the Gilded Age, and there is a young French Vietnamese courtesan who is on the run from Paris. She is working at a dress shop in New York, and she realizes that she would like to go a little further and climb a little higher, and she can do it by marrying a demon lord by taking a white girl's face and sewing it over her own. Yeah,
I
see,
love
everyone gets
it.
that expression. People are really into that. So no, I'm so excited for this one. It was not easy to write, and it was great because the first time I ever got to talk about it, this is the first time I think like I've talked about it not in person. My agent was in the crowd, and she's like, she's trying to help me out. She's like, Excuse me, what books do you have coming out?" And I'm like, and then I looked at her, I'm like, "Dana, can I talk about that yet?" And she's like, Yes, yes, you can talk about like yes. So, this is what she deals with every project.
You really know how to
Well,
pull people in with a tagline. Wow.
yeah, you just have great taglines. So,
Um,
what
I
if you
mean,
could
everyone
sew
can have
another
them.
one's face on your face?
What if you just could? What if that was on the table?
That's beautiful, and I can't wait to read it. I love the
It puts
Gilded
the
Age,
lotion in the
so.
basket or it gets the hose.
Well, Nate, thank you so much for joining us to talk about your book. We really appreciate it.
Well, thank you
Uh,
for having me. It's
of
been great.
course. Finishing up, can you tell listeners what you're reading, watching, and or enjoying right now?
Okay, let's see. Right now, I think the project that I'm working on, okay, I can't talk about that one. I can't talk about that one. But I can talk about the fact that I've got like I've got like about 12 plants in here and they need to be drastically pruned and it reaches the point where you have to like just trim them down because otherwise they're gonna fall over. It's not good for them. But then do I like throw away the scraps or do just I have more baby plants? And I'm like, it feels too cruel to like throw them in the trash. I'm like, but I don't want more plants. So that's what's coming up right now.
Well,
Dig it.
I am great at propagating plants. Keeping them alive is another story, but I do love a good propagation.
But
So
there's so many of them. They grotesquely outnumber me in here now, and that's a problem.
we got a subscription to a compost bin area in the Milwaukee area, and it is a
Ooh.
game changer because you don't feel bad because you're just composting everything, and they come and they pick it up and they take it away.
Oh, I'll
So
have to look. That sounds really good.
yeah, I'll tell you about it off mic.
Fantastic, fantastic.
All right. Well, thank you so much. Are
Yes.
you
Thank you,
on
Nate.
any social media platforms that people should follow you on?
I am on Blue Sky. You can find me as Nghi Vo. Believe it's Nghi Vo Writing. You can also just find me at nghivo.com, which is my website.
Perfect.
Perfect.
Well, and you guys can find us on all of the social media platforms in which we exist on because they're it's always changing. But
Blue
and
Sky and Instagram people.
Yep, yep.
and you can join us tomorrow for our regularly scheduled programming. But before then, please make sure you're going to pick up A Mouthful of Dust in bookstores today or at your local library. Thank you again, Dee.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.